Hey, everyone.
How long have you been at Kaecilius, Mr.
Doctor.
Mr. Doctor?
It's strange.
Maybe. Who am I to judge?
Hey guys, welcome to Obscure MCU. In this episode I'll be covering the origin of Kaecilius, how he was brought to Kaecilius, became a sorcerer, and was ultimately led astray. This story was told in the canon Doctor Strange prequel comic, titled The Zealot. Our story begins many years ago in Denmark. We see a young Kaecilius and his wife Adria having lunch by a scenic canal. All was well, until suddenly, Adria collapses. Months later we see Kaecilius at her bedside, in the hospital. Kaecilius says to himself, that it would have been merciful had Adria died months ago at the waterfront, as these past few months, of Adria in a state between life and death, has been torturous. The doctor comes in to inform Kaecilius of not only Adria's passing, but the death of their unborn child as well. Stricken with grief and guilt, Kaecilius spent the following months in a deep depression and contemplated suicide several times. Later, one night, as Kaecilius was at a pub, he's told to leave by the bartender. But this quickly devolves into a brutal fight, and Kaecilius is tossed into the street. Just as he begins to regain consciousness, he's met by none other than Karl Mordo, who offers to help him. We cut to years later, and we see Kaecilius as training in the courtyard of Kaecilius. As he spars with his fellow sorcerers, he begins to reflect on the promises the Ancient One gave to him. Inner peace and enlightenment, to quell his tortured soul, and a healthy means to let out his aggression. But even with his newfound powers and abilities, he's still haunted by the death of his wife and unborn son. As nothing can fill the hole in his heart, except the aspiration to use sorcery to bring them back to life. With this mounting pent-up frustration, Kaecilius confronts the Ancient One, yelling that he was promised the abilities to resolve the pain of the past. The Ancient One says that he can heal from the past but not change it. Left even more frustrated and unsatisfied, Kaecilius heads to the Kaecilius library to do some research on sorcerers of the past and spells all relating to time. After days of studying and ruminating on his findings, he's led to the ancient book of Cagliostro but cannot access it due to it being part of the collection of the Sorcerer Supreme and is not permitted to study those texts. The nightmares of the past don't stop. So the following day, he speaks with the librarian who allows him to look at the book of Cagliostro, but Kaecilius sees that many of the spells involving abilities to alter reality, and contacting an otherworldly being who exists outside of time, require rituals to be performed with others and cannot be done alone. Later that day, Kaecilius approaches some of his pupils, and begins to plant seeds of doubt in their minds about the Ancient One. He promises them a means to obtain greater powers, and even demonstrates some of what he has recently learned. With his group of zealots on board, they formulate a plan to raid the library and steal the book of Cagliostro. And this comic ends, where the Doctor Strange movie begins. This was the origin of Kaecilius, and the true motivation behind his actions in Doctor Strange. Would you have liked to have seen these moments in the movie? Or maybe even a Disney Plus special, retelling this story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and please like and subscribe for more videos coming soon. Thanks for watching.
You cannot stop this, Mr. Doctor.
Look, I don't even know what this is.
It's the end and the beginning. The many becoming the few, becoming the one.
Look, if you're not going to start making sense, I'm just going to have to put this thing back on.